So Elliot's like, only you and Blood, I think, can divide the carrots because he's willing to share them with his two favorite people, but not anyone else. And he's like, hey, Blood, after a ... He's like, where are you going? Because Blood's like, I'm getting out of here. Blood's like, don't refrain, like, young lady, just enjoy the full course and the taste of autumn. All of the carrots are yours. He's like, do so especially ... I'm glad that you took on the full course of this orange object. He's talking about the carrots again. She comments to herself that he who was supposed to be a mafia boss fled the spot very quickly, slightly pale. And he's like, what is it, Blood? Wait. That was Elliot. And Blood's like, ... And she thinks to herself, yes, I like this kind of place. She's like, I think the Mafia are not bad guys, but this is also a mistake. She's like, there are other places where I live, but I still want to come here to visit. And she's commenting that Hat Mansion is in autumn, and it's a season when the leaves are dyed and everything is delicious. I believe he was talking about how they can do so much with these carrots, and he's like, look at this carrot, like, I love it so much. He's like, eat as much as you want, as much as you like. It's the best season. Of course you will participate in our carrot party! Exclamation mark. This is where they kind of attempt to get her to move there, because he's like, it's so chilly where you're at, and that's like the place where that guy lives, because he hates Julius. Julius imprisoned him, like, before she ever came to Wonderland. And he's like, come here, like, welcome to the carrot dish, and this place is full of this stuff. So he's like, don't you want to live here? She's like, no. So we're going to go to the last place before the circus, and I'm going to end it after we get done at Heart Castle. Ace is like, it's so beautiful. Peter, don't you want to see the cherry blossoms? And she comments to herself that that's Ace. The Heart Castle's night, and he shakes his head with a refreshing smile. She's like, it may be said that the man who suits spring ... And she's like, no, rather it's summer. She's like, Ace seems to look better in the summer because apparently his smile isn't tied to a gentle cheerfulness. It's actually the mask he puts up. And it's even more creepy when he goes psychotic because he just maintains it. And she knows this after the second game. And she's like, he's cheerful. Maybe he looks a little shy. And Peter's like, do you have a sensitivity to those flowers? She thinks to herself in contrast to the smiling knight, Peter, the chancellor of the Heart Castle and also a white rabbit, seems grumpy. She's like, Peter White, he looks like a beautiful youth, but is actually dark and ruthless in Heart Castle. She's like, however, he has rabbit ears, and he is a white rabbit. And Ace is like, of course, I like watching cherry blossoms like this, don't you? And he's like, spring is cheerful. So Peter hits him with a jab. He's like, how about going for a walk then? He's like, go away as far as possible. A place where you can't come back again is desirable. And she's like, I can tell from the contents that the conversation is not good at all. She's like, but it doesn't seem as if they aren't getting along. It's kind of in the middle, neither good nor bad. She's like, it's not exactly true though. She's like, it's good even though we're not good friends. It's like that. And then she thinks to herself that what she said to herself was confusing. She's like, it's very strange, I think so, but the relationships of the people in Heart Castle can only be compared to that strange thing. She's like, it's not a bad stretch to think that they are indifferent to each other. And she's like, if you think so, then their relationship is not good, but also not bad. And I know that worse than anything, it is indifferent. Vivaldi cuts in. She's the Queen of Hearts. She's like, why aren't you able to silently take in the flowers? She's like, don't talk about the flowers. It's because of the noise. It's a loss of beauty. She's like, if you're so bored that you can't be quiet, go back to the castle and work. Why don't you? And she's commenting to herself that Vivaldi, the Queen of Hearts, she is unusually intimate and calm right now. She's commenting that she's enjoying tea time without adding the heads of those who aren't, like, being peaceful and respectful about it. She's like, it's very unusual for her after a ... And Ace cuts in trolling. He's like, what is it? No work on such a day. Like, I refuse. And Peter's like, if you have a job, Majesty, you too then. Also, like, you'll go to work. And Vivaldi comments back. She's like, you just have to do the work. If you don't want to see the cherry blossoms, go work. Peter actually cuts in and he's like, I was not waiting for the cherry blossom viewing to start. I was waiting for someone important. I have decent business. And he's like, rather, I just wanted to ask your Majesty for what my workload was. Alice pops in. She's like, I can't take this. Everyone, what are you doing? Is what she asked them. And they're all surprised. They're like, Alice! She responds, to herself that the grumpy expression until the last minute on Peter's face faded away in an instant. She's like, a white rabbit greets me with a big smile. The ears move slightly and look cute as well as healthy. She's like, only I can make him act like this or look like this. She's like, good or bad, I know this is my life. And she's like, also, it lets my ears go pop when he shouted that. She's like, ... That's not cute, she says to herself. And then she said that a waiter approached her. She's commenting to herself that even if you look at the grumpy face until the last moment, it will still be appreciated because people are weak to cute things, and he looks like a beautiful youth. And this was the waiter. He was like, I welcome you, I believe. And a maid actually calls out to her as well. She's like, we were waiting for you. And she comments to herself, Alice, she's like, the accompanying people seem relieved to see me because she literally calms down the roll holders who can go crazy at any moment. And they were about to, it looks like. She comments to herself that this world is really absurd, divided into roles and no faces for those below that position. Subordinates can never resist those that hold a role and those that are the boss. She's like, the boss's mood is related to the life of his subordinate. Like, they could kill them at any time. And she comments to Peter, she's like, did I make a promise with you? Because he was commenting that he was waiting for someone. Peter's like, no, even if you didn't make a promise, his delusional self, he pops out with, you will come because I believe it is possible. He's totally not my favorite. But he's like, because I love you, I believed that you would come and love me too. And he's like, oh, Alice, you always respond to me in my calls. And he's like, Alice, Alice. And she's like, ... I hate this. She's actually commenting to herself right now, I feel sympathy with those who have to live with this in life. And she's like, I'm too sorry that I came here, ...
久しぶりだね。春の陽気に誘われて、俺と旅にでも出てみない?
And then Ace's much more calm greeting. He's like, hey Alice, it's been a long time. Why don't you go out on a journey with me because of this nice spring weather?
君と一緒なら季節を忘れてここから抜け出してみてもいいな.
He refers to himself in third person, kind of. He's like, if you're with me, you can forget the season and get out of here.
なんで彼女とあなたが一緒に旅に出かけなくてはいけないんですか?
And Peter's like, why do you and her have to go on a trip together?
旅立つならどうぞご自由に。でもあなた一人で行ってきてください。
He's like, if you're traveling, feel free, but please go alone.
彼女が旅への同行を承諾してくれたら?
Ace is like, I wouldn't accept you in her place. And he's like, I was asking her to accept for the trip. And he's like, question mark.
彼女が行くなら僕も行きます。
Peter's like, if she goes, I will go too.
はは、ペーターさんは相変わらず自虐的だな。
And Ace just trolls on him. He's like, ha ha ha, Peter is still a masochist.
旅についてきてくれるなんて、俺と彼女が相当親密だってことだよ。それを見せつけられたいなんて、自虐趣味もいいところだ。
He's like, isn't it that her and I are so intimate that you want to follow me. He's like, I kind of want to show it off.
それは、いえ、そもそも彼女はあなたの誘いを承諾したりしませんよ。
So Peter's still responding for her, and he's like, that is no. In the first place, she doesn't accept your invitation.
彼女があなたの旅についていくだなんて家庭の話としてもありえません。妄想です。
And he's like, it can't be a hypothesis of yours that she will follow you on a journey. It's a complete delusion.
妄想ってペーターさんに言われちゃうとな。どう思う?
And then Ace is like, delusion, ... When you get it, ... He turns to Alice. He's like, what do you think, Alice? She actually responds after a ... Yes, in spring, I think it's a little crazy to go on one. She's like, but don't pull out your sword or point your gun on this beautiful spring day, please. She's like, first, I'm gonna check on those who are not acting strange at any time. She's like, regardless of whether their relationship is good or bad, when these two people get together, it becomes a brawl and they shoot at each other right away.
そうじゃ。わらわもくだらぬ喧嘩など見とうない。
And now Vivaldi's scolding them because she already told them to shut up at the beginning, and she's like, that's right.
こんな美しい景色の中で、お前らの汚い首を跳ねさせるな。
She's like,
汚れてしまうではないか。
She's like, don't let your dirty neck join you in this beautiful scenery. She's like, I'll disconnect your neck and let it rest here in this beautiful scenery, basically.
せっかくの紅茶がまずくなるようなことを率先してやるつもりはない。 首がつながったままでいたいのであれば、客人をもてなさんか。
She's actually commenting that if you want your neck to stay connected, would you please treat the guest properly? And she's like, I have no intention of taking the lead in a bad tea party with you guys acting like children.
あなたに言われなくてもそうします。さあ、こちらへどうぞ。
And so Peter cuts in and he's like, ... That's true even if you don't tell me. Like, we need to behave. Go ahead, Alice. He was actually trying to get her to sit next to him.
ペーターさんってあからさますぎるよ。
Because he's like, haha, Peter-san is too obvious.
彼女を好きなのはわかるけどさ。なんだか面白いよね、変わりようが。
He's like, I know you like her, but... This is interesting. Let's change. And then he, like, trails off again. He was trying to get her to come sit next to him, and so Peter cut in, and he's like, I like her, so it's natural. I actually love her! Exclamation, exclamation. And she's just like, thanks. She's like, although it can be said clearly so far, it seems that a reply is unnecessary. So she was like saying thanks to them both, wanting her to sit next to them. And she's like, but my reply isn't really necessary because they'll just steamroll over it. She actually comments here that in fact Peter doesn't seem to need much of my reply at any time. Whether I answer or not, he's the same. Like, he'll just do what he wants. Vivaldi here's like, Alice, come sit next to me. You can enjoy tea quietly while watching the flowers. And Alice is like, you can't feel bad when you're invited by such a beautiful woman, as long as you aren't bothered. And she's like, thank you, Vivaldi. She comments to herself that the tea poured by Peter is delicious, but that is only because it is Heart Castle with a tea-loving queen. She thinks to herself, but it's amazing, it's beautiful. She comments that when she looks up, calmly, she couldn't help saying it again. Looking from the bottom of her cup, it is a masterpiece. She comments also that the cherry blossoms are in full bloom. Of course, this is the first time that she has seen a cherry blossom in full bloom in Wonderland.
あなたの方が綺麗ですよ。何もしていなくてもいつも綺麗です。
Peter comments that you are better, Alice. Even if you don't do anything, you're always beautiful. Like, more beautiful than the scenery.
綺麗で可憐で花なんかお呼びもしない。
He's like, you're prettier than flowers or anything. She comments to herself that Peter, who admires the cherry blossoms, and Peter, who admires her, she wants to try avoid seeing it as much as possible for both.
ペーターさんってば好きな子を困らせちゃダメだろ。そんなじっと見て。
Ace is trolling. He's laughing. He's like, haha. He's like, it wouldn't be difficult for Peter to be a bothersome child, right? Like a favorite one?
なあ、で、言ってると誤解されちゃうぜ。
I think it actually bleeped out some bad words there. I'm not too sure. So, they were asking about like a misunderstanding, or if something was a misunderstanding.
あ、誤解じゃないか。
And Peter's like, well, at least, dot, dot, dot. Isn't it a misunderstanding that you are? And then he calls him, I think, a bad word, dot, dot, dot. And he's like, don't give me difficulty in spite of it.
少なくともあなたがだってことは誤解じゃないでしょうね。のくせに僕に難癖つけないでください。
And he's like, she's not in trouble, just embarrassed, embarrassed.
彼女は困ってなんかいませんよ。恥ずかしがっているだけ。テルヤさんなんです。
Because Ace had been like, it is a misunderstanding, and then he's like, no, she's just embarrassed, she isn't in trouble.
だからそれが嫌がってるんだって。
And he's like, ha ha ha, that's why I hate it. Because he's like, she's embarrassed and I hate it. Because he's jealous now. He doesn't know that he likes her, but that he like sort of understands that he's attached to her. And he doesn't like it when others are close to her either, so he does kind of participate in these childish games, like rivalry games.
わからないのかな。わからないんだろうな。
He's like, I wonder if I don't know why this is. He's like, I don't know, ha ha ha.
わかっていないのはあなたでしょ。
Peter trolls him back and he's like, foo foo foo, you don't know? Like, why you're upset over this?
頭に中身が入っていないあなたにも伝わる方法で分からせてあげましょうか。
He was basically trolling him back and he's like, when you figure it out, let me know. And he's like, let me know in a way that will be communicated that you don't have anything in your head at all. And she's thinking to herself, completely removed from this conversation, cherry blossoms are blooming so beautifully. And she's like, so please enjoy them calmly. She comments that divided between the two who are trying to set up their respective, like, foundation. So she was commenting that she was the divide between them, basically. And then now it flashed after she took up to leave, to Ace kind of trying to stop her, and he's like, I looked up, and then you had already left. Like, did you not like it?
塔になんか住んでいないで、ここに引っ越してくればいいのに。ユリウスと一緒にここに来ない？
He's like, I don't live in the tower, just move here. Why don't you come here with Julius?
ウサギさんや女王様より君やユリウスと住みたいな。あの二人を知って。
He comments here that I would like to live with you and Julius, then the rabbit or the queen. Like, take those two people away, basically. He comments here, like, after that, that, well, Julius wouldn't do it, and he wouldn't live here. He's like, however, I'm just going to move then. And he winks. So creepy. And we're going to save it here because after this she leaves and she's either going to go visit the circus or start making the rounds for the actual like relationship building for their route. We're going to try to get with Nightmare and Gray still, possibly Julius or the Bloody Twins. If I can't get with them and we like might end up on their route, it's rare, but if you're doing a non-stay you might end up with like Boris or Pierce too, also from the amusement park, if we can do it. So we'll see.